Hello everyone, I'm wanting to revisit a team that I've played quite a bit this season, and I specifically wanted to bring you some matchups of the more difficult leads. I mean, whilst it's fun to watch me stomping on things where people lead Galarian Stunfisks into my Medicham, they're not very instructive as matches. So what I wanted to do is pick out a few matches that have more challenging and more interesting leads, and how to play them. The one thing I haven't got, because believe it or not I haven't seen it in 3 days, is an Azumarill lead. Seems crazy to me, but that's how it is. Maybe I'll do a special on that later. I'm just going to hop straight into matches. If you want to see how the team plays and it's a bit more detail about its construction, I'll drop a link in the comments for you to the previous time I ran this team that runs you through just, what the mechanics behind it are. So first off, we lead into an Altaria. This resists fighting damage, and we don't have Ice Punch, so the only thing we can hit it with is Psychic. It's got shields up, chances are it will shield it expecting the Ice Punch anyway. So we make a switch on the charge move. It's a bit of a timing game, but we look to catch a Sky Attack on a Steel, where it's not very effective, so we resist it. They blow all their energy and bring in something that's a Steel counter. That's fine. The Stunfisk here is also a real problem for our Dewgong, but we get it out of the way by doing this. We let it go down quite quickly because it's then still switch locked, and we can actually bring in the Dewgong and hit it for super effective with the ice damage. That's quite good. It does mean we have to shield the electric, but this really only works if they've got the mud shot, not the electric move to charge their attacks. We can block the discharges, and as you can see, take chunks out of it with Ice Shard. We'll probably have to block another discharge, and there we go. So we've taken it down, we've farmed up a load of energy, we've gone down 2 shields, which is a bit hazardous, but it does mean we've got Icy Winds loaded. So the Azumarill comes out, and we can throw an Icy Wind at the Azumarill, debuff it, and I don't know if you know how this matchup plays up, but actually Azumarill doesn't do well against Dewgong. So we switch to Medicham, of all things, which is a bit crazy, I know, but we're looking to bait with Power Punch and get to a Psychic. So we've got the energy up, and we're going to throw a Psychic now. We're hoping they're going to anticipate another Power Punch. I suspect they'll assume it's an Ice Punch. No, they let it through, so it takes off a good chunk of them, and we're just going to farm down. Incoming Sky Attack now. It's going to hurt, but we're just going to let it go. We've got no choice, we've got no shields left. But we do still have the Dewgong, and that tears apart Altaria. And they've got a shield against us, but again, we've got the energy loaded. So they can't switch out the Azumarill here, so they're just going to have to put up with the fact that they're just losing their attack, losing more attack, and we're just going to nibble them down with Ice Shards. It's slow and it's painful, but it does work very well. Actually, one of the fun things about this team is just how much it makes Azumarill players sad when you slowly destroy them. So as you can see, Hydro Pump with the nuke move just doesn't do any good. If they had a play rough, this might be a bit more of a problem, but actually once you stack up the debuffs, it just doesn't really do a lot of good. So we're going to go for another Icy Wind, and carry on nibbling away with the Ice Shards. Still not very effective, but they're hitting us not very effective in return, so this might well be another Hydro Pump. There we go. Still isn't doing us very much at all. And it gets to the next Icy Wind. They resist that. This does make the matches quite slow and tedious sometimes. Quite a lot of these run to sort of 4 minutes plus. So I have actually run into very nearly the timeout, but not quite ever. I think I'd be giving up and switching if I ever hit timeout. And there we go. Goodbye, Azumarill. So next up, we're going to be leading into, I think it's a Skarmory. There we go, Skarmory lead. So it's super effective against our fighting type, and we hit it for neutral with our fighting damage. So again, we look to switch on the charge move into the Perrserker to catch their Sky Attack. This will hit for not very effective. We can then start to farm energy and see if they want to stay in. If they don't, they bring in a Marowak. This is quite tough for this team because it's got play against everything in it. But because we've got Shadow Claw and Foul Play, we can probably take a shield off them and actually do them a bit of damage with the Shadow Claw too. They're going to farm us down, but they've taken half health in the process and lost a shield, so it's not as bad as it sounds. We bring back in the Medicham and we throw a Psychic. We're hoping they're going to expect an Ice Punch and not shield, and they don't. There we go. Ice Punch or Power Punch would be not very effective against them, so they didn't need to shield there. The Shadowborn in return would have hurt, so we shield that, and we farm them down with counter. Taking that out of the way, we've got Skarmory back, and we can still do some work with Power Punch, but we're just going to charge up and switch. Again, suckering them with catching the charge move. And Dewgong hits them for neutral, they hit us for neutral, but out comes the Obstagoon, which hits us for super effective damage with fighting. And Night Slash is also neutral, so it's going to hurt, so we're just going to let it go down. There we go. Doesn't hurt a lot, but this way we can stick an Icy Wind on them because they did switch out on us, and then we can lock them in with the with the Medicham, and we're going to build up our fighting damage, drop double power up punches on it, and boost our attack stat a huge amount. We're double super effective against the dark normal type of obstacle, so that gives us, oh, look at that. We're going to have to shield here because otherwise this will finish us. It is neutral, but it's still going to hurt. And there we go. We've still got Skarmory there, but we've got 2 power up punches loaded, not much health left. So this is going to be tight, but I think we can do it. First power up punch goes through, nearly. Second power up punch goes through. I think we're perhaps 1 fast attack away from going down, but not quite. And that last counter, there we go. Bit of a clutch victory, but it was that stacking of boosts on the Medicham. Now we're going to lead into a Bastiodon. Well, okay, this is not a bad lead at all. I just wanted to show you how it plays against the Bastiodon double grass lineup. They switch into a Victory Bell, and we power up punch. They're hopefully anticipating an ice punch and therefore shielding this, so we draw a shield in the process. Then we make the switch to Perrserker, which resists their Razor Leaf. We let their move land because we resist everything, and it's a Leaf Blade. See, even resisted takes a huge amount off, but we get to throw a Foul Play, so this should get their second shield, because obviously they just can't take any punches at all. So there we go, second shield down, with 2 shields to 0, and the Victory Bell's there. We bring in the Dewgong now. This hits us for super effective, but we hit them for super effective. Another move coming through. This time we are going to shield, because the Leaf Blade will do a super effective and probably put us down. But there we go. We've taken the Leaf Blade and finished off the Victory Bell. Icy Wind on the Bastiodon, and we're just going to go for a quick switch to the Medicham, because rock damage is super effective to ice. We switch out and start nibbling away. Possibly expecting another switch, because they might well go for another switch to a grass type. And if we're lucky, there'll be one that's vulnerable to Psychic. We shield again, because this is now our endgame win condition. We need to keep Medicham inactive. And this is Shiftry, which is even better. I mean, if they had a Victory Bell or a Grass Poison in the back, we could have Psychic them. This way we get to Power Up Punch and take it out that way. We are still going to take some damage though, which is probably going to end us. And a Leaf Blade, there we go, enough to take out Medicham. We were getting there, but Dewgong does finish off, and now we're just there to nibble down the Bastiodon and just get to the Icy Wind just in time and finish off. There we go. Down goes the Bastiodon. One of the tougher fights. Oh no, not quite. Are we going to make it to the Ice Shard? No, we did. There we go. If they got to a charge move in time, then we'd have been in trouble, but they didn't. So, somewhat tough match, but it does win against Bastiodon double grass. A man-team lead, so that's a grass flying and is resisting to counter damage again. So, as before, we're looking to switch, but this time we're going to switch after they throw the charge move. The Bubble Beam will debuff us, and it will lower our attack, but that's okay, because we're going to switch and clear that. Moving to Perrserker, which is neutral and neutral. They bring out an Umbreon, which, if we had close combat here, we'd have done a lot more harm, but we're just going to pretend we have and hope to draw a shield. And we don't, so they know we don't have close combat now, and we're probably just going to let this go. We're just going to let them drop their charge moves on us. Umbreon doesn't hit very hard, but it does hit quite reliably, and it's got a lot of toughness. And we're going to shield this last one because we've got an Iron Head loaded and we don't really want to go down with all that energy. We're going to farm up a little bit more and then throw the Iron Head, hoping that maybe they won't take us out immediately and look to farm so we can get to another one. Sometimes that's there we go. Looks like they took the bait and they decided to farm a little more, so we get to that last Iron Head before we go down. They're possibly going to farm us down, but as you can see, we've taken off most of their health and we're equal shields, so I'm okay with that. And now we can get the Medicham out and finish the job and build up a bit more energy lead. They'll throw a dark move at us, which is neutral because we're psychic and fighting, and does a bit, but not enough to matter. Umbreon doesn't hit very hard at all, it's just very, very tough. Now for the man team, we throw the Power Up Punch. We're going to hope they're going to shield this because it might be an Ice Punch. They don't. So we'll go to the Psychic next, and they might well be thinking that this is also an Ice Punch, and they decide not to shield. That's okay. And we get the defense debuff. I very rarely see that go off, but it does happen occasionally. And Nazuma on the back. And again, we're just going to go straight into the Psychic, because if this lands, we've got a bit of a boost on it. And there we go, a decent chunk taken off. Move to the Dewgong. We've got a shield left. This is a nice solid matchup for us, because we can shield their first charge move, and it's Play Rough. Now, Play Rough is a bigger problem for us because we don't resist that, but Icy Wind lowers the amount of damage it does, and it takes extra bubbles to throw it. So they come out slightly slower, and so that means we've got a bit more time to try and get another Icy Wind on them. And we get to it not quite in time. So it goes. It's going to land now, and as you can see, even neutral, it's not done as a huge amount, so we're just going to go ahead and do that again. We're just going to Icy Wind this Azumarill till they give up in disgust. Nibble, nibble. Right, they've switched out, it's gone straight into the Mantine. They've got a move ready to throw, but I'm just going to hope it's a Bubble Beam. I think the alternative is Ice Beam, neither of which would do a lot of good here. So we finish off because we hit them for neutral, and Azumarill is now going to be in range of that Icy Wind. Down they go. They've debuffed us, but it's not going to help with that health that low. There we go. Goodbye. Right, next up we've got a non-Galarian Stunfisk. This is a neutral lead. I thought it was a bit more interesting because the reason is it causes problems for everything in my back row. So we do pretty much have to stay in against this one. If we bring in either the Perrserker or the Dewgong, it's going to eat them alive. So we stay in and we power up punch, and we just build up to extra energy to make it look like we're throwing something more dangerous, hoping to draw a shield. Doesn't work this time. Now we're going to let the Mud Bomb land because we don't want them to think that we're desperate to stay in. We are, but we don't want them to realise that. So again, we try and bait and go for another power up punch. And they don't let that land either. They're not taking the bait today, so throw another one. At this point, we're at the point where we're going to have to shield if they don't want to. But as you can see, we have nibbled them down, and we have got rid of that big threat to our team. Out comes the Azumarill. We're going to just rush straight for a Psychic and see if they'll let it go. Maybe they'll expect an Ice Punch and let that one go through. We've got some boosts behind it though, and look at that. Massive chunk taken off the Azumarill. That's some good work there. So out comes the Dewgong again, farming up some energy against a low health Azu, and does it have an Ice Punch? Sorry, a Play Rough? It's got a Play Rough. Right, so Play Rough we do need to be a bit more cautious of, and so we'll drop an Icy Wind here. If it had been an Ice Beam, then perhaps I wouldn't have bothered. And note, I don't actually use up all my energy there, because what I want them to do is not go down. And they shield it, which is even better. So we get a shield off them, and we debuff them, and we get to farm them for energy. That's a great place to be. So now we've got an energy lead, an Icy Wind loaded, and a Marowak. Now Marowaks are challenging, because obviously the Perrserker is going to be taking super effective from those Fire Spins and those Bone Clubs. So we Icy Wind, and we try and soften it up a bit. And we'll just do as many Icy Winds as we can. And incoming, so it's a bit tough. We're just going to have to decide whether we want to risk a Shadow Ball, and we decide not to. So we throw another Icy Wind. We're just looking to stack up those debuffs because now they can't switch out. That's one of the joys of this team. If you can get the last thing pinned and Icy Winded, is that a term? Debuffed quite hard, then actually the final matchup is much easier. We've got their last shield, and despite this being theoretically quite a good matchup for the Alola Marowak, this is not going too well for them. So they are going to finish us off, but there's not much left. Oh my god, it's a Flame Wheel. I haven't seen one of those in ages, mostly because they're dreadful. Don't use Flame Wheel, okay? Just don't. Right, Icy Wind going through, and goodbye Marowak. Now that might have gone a different way if they'd had a Bone Club and a Shadow Ball, but I think we still managed with our Perrserker in the back. Okay, so I didn't have a Hypno lead, I was looking for one of those, but I got a Lunatone instead. I'm not really sure if this is a lead loss exactly, but we'll go with it anyway. Confusion is a problem for us because it's kind of neutral to our Psychic and Fighting, and we do neutral in return with our Fighting damage. And this actually seems a fairly sturdy Pokemon, so there we go. Haven't done a lot, we're still trying to get that shield off them, and they are taking us apart quite quickly actually. So we're just kind of loading up on the power up punches, and looks like we're actually going to be losing this one. So, okay, simultaneous KO. I'm okay with that. I'm just going very slowly and waiting for them to switch first, actually. And that way I get to choose what faces their Azumarill. Again, out comes Dewgong. You've seen this before. With shields on my side, Icy Wind adds up, and it does get you into a good, strong position for winning the match overall. So you shield the first one, and then probably can get away with not shielding any other ones. But with Play Rough on the table, you do have to be a little bit more cautious, because Play Rough does hit neutral, whereas either Ice Beam or Hydro Pump don't do any good at all. So there we go, they've shielded our Icy Wind, and we're not going to shield, so we're just going to let this one land. We're going to save a shield for whatever's up last. That way you might be able to get an Icy Wind to stick on that as well, and there we go. Icy Wind, we've just built up a bit of extra energy there. Do you notice? We're just letting a bit more ride, hopefully to bait out another shield, and otherwise just get a bit more of that energy lead, because by having someone loaded when the Azumarill goes down, it means we can Icy Wind the last thing and switch immediately. So there we go, bit extra energy again, icy wind, we're almost at another one, and there we go. Azumarill's on the way down, and I think we're just going to greedily farm this all the way down. Play rough coming through, I'm not sure we can risk this, but we're just going to let it land anyway, and it's an ice beam. So massively debuffed, and they threw it too early thinking we were going to take them out, but now we get to farm them, so that's even better. And it's an Altaria, double super effective from ice. We've got no health left, but we've got icy wind loaded and another icy wind loaded. Double super effective is going to really hurt, and there we go. Wow. So switch immediately to Perrserker. We've got a shield left, they've got no health and they're debuffed, and we resist their charge moves, so game over really. And as you can see, if you remember from earlier, the Sky Attack did quite a bit more than that, so that's what the 2 debuffs have done to it. And we just farmed down with Shadow Claws. We could have thrown a charge move, but we didn't need to. Right, next up we're going to lead into a Galarian Stunfisk. Okay, again, this is another fairly easy lead for us because obviously we do super effective and we take neutral. We do have to be a bit cautious about the bait because the earthquakes hurt, but the rock slides don't. So often I'll let the first move through on the assumption that they're probably going to bait us in 2 shields and just chip away with power-up punches. We're building up the momentum with our Medicham and hoping to get enough energy built for a psychic on whatever comes in next. So we drop that, and it's a Hypno. We can't really be doing a psychic, so because they've switched, we will switch into our Perrserker. We resist the confusion, but if they've got Fire Punch or Focus Blast, they'll do us a lot of damage. Shadow Ball obviously did quite a lot there, even neutral. It's a great move, it's very dangerous, so we're building up to 2 foul plays now. The idea being that we're trying to bait a shield, and then we're going to put them down with the next one. They decide not to go for it, but we do have a foul play loaded already for whatever comes in next, so that's part of the reason for doing that. It was an Azumarill, so we go for the Iron Head instead. That hits neutral because of the Fairy Water, gives us a neutral cancel out. They get a couple of bubbles, but we get the Dewgong onto the Azumarill in the back. We've got the shields loaded, got a little bit of lag, we build up an Icy Wind, and hopefully we've got that out before their charge move, so that the first charge move that lands will do us less. Again, we're looking to see if they've got Play Rough. We'll shield the first one, and it's a Hydro Pump. So the fact they use Hydro Pump means they haven't got Play Rough, which means there's very little they can do to the Dewgong. But they bring in the Galarian Stunfisk instead. We throw the Icy Wind at that, but we've got the Medicham in reserve. So we may as well stick the debuff on them because we can win the Azumarill matchup with ease, and then go for the switch. No, not go for the switch, just farm down. Straight farm down. Now we've got a shield deficit, but they concede. They don't see any way to win that one, and they're probably right. Next up, a Whiscash lead. Again, kind of a neutral lead, kind of not, because it does mean we've got to keep it away from the Perrserker. They're going to hit us with Mud Bombs. Mud Bombs is not a very powerful move, but it gets to them very quickly. As usual, we go for the Power Up Punch, trying to bait out a shield, and we get one. That's good. Going to do that. We're going to power up some more and let the Mud Bomb land. We're just going to let them chip away at us. That way they don't realise that we don't really want them to go near our backline. Drop a Psychic now. Hopefully they'll be anticipating another Power Up Punch, and it puts down the Medicham. Sorry, the Whiscash. So next up we'll just nibble away. Skarmory. We're going to go for a Power Up Punch just to do a bit of chip damage. And this time we're not going to switch out, because this way we keep aligned to the Skarm and just keep the steel versus flying alignment. If they now switch, then we can switch too, and if they don't switch, well, we've got a nice solid matchup. Sky Attack does still do us quite a bit, so there we go. With Foul Play and Azumarill, so we swap into the Dewgong to take out the Azumarill. Just loading up the Icy Winds again, shield the first move. You know the pattern. We've got Play Rough this time, so that was a good call. We'll Icy Wind them, and there we go. I think you know how this goes. We Icy Wind, we build up some energy, and we then throw that energy at the Skarm. Hopefully that will have not enough health left, and then we finish off with the Perrserker. So that's 2 debuffs now, so we're just going to let this land, just on the off chance that the Skarmory gets to another Sky Attack. That'll do us more harm than the double debuffed Play Roughs will. So we build up the energy now, and we're just going to go to a bit of an energy lead. We're just going to let them land the next one, because we're pretty confident we can finish off. And they threw an ice beam to save a bit of energy, which was unfortunate because it did even less damage. So we've got 2 icy winds loaded now, so we're just going to throw one of them out. And there we go. We're still going to keep one in reserve and nibble away. So we're quite low health now, but the debuffs have really added up, and there you go. Play rough doesn't do enough. So it looks like we're going to be able to finish off with ice shards. We might have to shield though here, because we're getting very low on health. So we're so low on health that we're going to shield here. It seems a shame, but it does mean we've got sort of icy winds to throw at Skarmory, so it's useful. There we go. Out comes the icy wind, and then another one back to back. So that's taken off quite a lot of their health, and presumably got their shields down. And maybe we'll get to the last one. Not quite. Yes, we did. There we go. Last icy wind. Again, stacking the debuffs meant that they couldn't farm us down. And as you can see, the timeout timer had popped up there, so we were running out of time for that match. But we'd have won if we'd run out of time. Alright, another Bastion lead. This is a bit more standard, a Bastion double grass. Bit of lag there. They switched to the Cherrim quite quickly, so we counter switch to Perrserker. It's going to seem a bit counterintuitive because they've got the fireballs of doom. So we shield those, and they throw a dazzling gleam at us. I'm just not sure what's going on there. I'm not quite sure why they aren't using weather ball. So we're going to shield, we're going to anticipate another weather ball that will also hurt us, and we'll just nibble away. And it's another dazzling gleam, so I don't really know why they threw that and not the weather balls. I can only assume they're only running one charge move. This time we are not popping the dots, so we're going to do minimal damage just to get us a couple more Shadow Claws of energy. Out comes the Bastiodon again. This is going to hurt us, but foul play will do some good, and the rock damage doesn't do a lot to steel. We're not very tough though, so they will probably nibble us down and get to a flamethrower to finish us off. We're just throwing foul plays out whilst we do, and as you can see, we've got quite good energy gain rate with those Shadow Claws. I think it's one of the best moves in the game. Second best is counter. We've got that on this team too. It's one of the reasons I like it. And there we go. I've got a flamethrower. Oh, a flamethrower. Okay, not a flamethrower. It looks like they didn't want to finish us off and farm us down. But Victory Bell came in to do that, so there we go. We've got a Dewgong on the Victory Bell, and that's hit super effective whilst taking super effective. We're just going to rush straight to the Icy Wind. The reason being that that'll get their last shield, or not, doesn't matter to me, and then they go to the Bastiodon, but we switch immediately to Medicham, and I catch the dot on the recording app and then proceed not to use all the dots, but it's okay because they're shielded. And that's game over, thank you. Yeah, don't do that. It's not a good way to use your charge moves. And just one last match for you. Medicham into Victory Bell. And Victory Bell resists all our fast moves. You need to land a Psychic, but actually getting a Psychic against this thing is very difficult. So we go for a quick switch and get counter switched by a Whiscash. Whiscash is bad news for a Perrserker, because obviously it does super effective whilst taking neutral. It's not a disaster because it doesn't resist our attacks, but it's still problematic. They throw a Mud Bomb. Now we're shielding here because what we really need to do is get a line to that that Victory Bell so it doesn't take out our Dewgong. Again, more Mud Bombs. We're going down 2 shields to 0. It sounds crazy, but we're going to build up another flower play. Going to hope that they don't realise that this is what we're doing. We've got back-to-back moves. Right, looks like they're keen to stay in 2, so we're just going to go for another one, and we're just going to try and take out the Whiscash. Because if we can take that out first, I think they're going to Mud Bomb us, and that's going to be taking us out. So we've lost both our shields, and we've lost the switch advantage. So quickly into Dewgong. We're going to start building up the energy here, and expect the Victory Bell to come out, but we hit that for super effective, or say hit us for super effective. And we've got Icy Wind energy lead. So we've managed to farm the Whiscash and get to a place where we can land a super effective charge move, take out the Victory Bell in one hit, and Skarmory. And Icy Wind does quite well against this. It's neutral, which is solid, and it's debuffing. So we get to it first, so the incoming Sky attack now, or Brave Bird potentially, will not cause us any big issues. They probably won't use a Brave Bird because we've got something in the back, and knackering their defence would be a very bad idea. But we're going to get to another Icy Wind, and maybe this will be enough to finish off. Maybe not. It's going to be close, and then we're going to switch immediately and throw some neutral fighting damage at it and take it out. So, a few sort of slightly easier leads, but mostly these were adverse leads for this team. We did on a number of occasions get counter switched by hard counters, such as Whiscash coming on to the steel type Perrserker, but as you can see the teams managed to play through and do quite well as a result anyway. Like I say, I didn't manage to catch any Azumarill leads with this team, and I'm going to try and do that. It does work more or less the same way. With the Azumarill lead you count the bubbles, and when it counts to 6 you try and switch to the Perrserker to try and catch the play rough that they almost certainly have when they're leading in Azumarill. So there you go, hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that's given you a bit of insight into how this team works and plays in the more difficult matchups, rather than just, stomping flat on everything. If you're interested in my other recording, again, links down in the comments. There is at least one matchup in there where Medicham sweeps the whole team. I quite enjoyed that, but it's not really very illustrative of, good team building skills and good play. Thanks very much, have a good day.